What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with Riot Tech, and today we have a different review. We have not one, not two, but three different mouse pads that we're going to be going through. So today I have LaOnda's Smooth Criminal pad, the Pelz, and the Blitz. So let's get into it. Starting with the Smooth Criminal, there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about this pad. So I've been using this pad the longest. It's been out the longest. I've had this pad for a good while, and if you know anything about the Smooth Criminal, this was created around the same time as the Saturn Pro. And whenever you watch the initial video of this pad, Mark the Whale initially said, look, I was initially thinking about making this pad. Whenever the Saturn Pro came out, he used it, and he was like, look, I've used the Saturn Pro. The Saturn Pro is really, really good. There's no reason for me to make another pad because the Saturn Pro is so good. But there's one thing specifically about this pad that I don't have with the Saturn Pro. So first, the first thing I want to mention is the stitching. Compared to the two newer pads, these have better quality stitching. It's definitely smaller, definitely tighter compared to the Smooth Criminal. It's not going to be a huge issue. I haven't had any issues with the stitching whatsoever. Just something that I wanted to mention. In terms of quality, one thing that I did want to mention, I've used this pad long enough that I've essentially, I think the way that I've stored this pad, I have essentially 3 lines at the very, very top of the pad. And like right here, I have like 3 lines. And so whenever I move and have any kind of glide higher up on the pad, again, not hitting the stitching, under the stitching right here, if I go over those lines, I can feel it in game. So I probably just need to replace the pad. Again, I probably have that issue purely just because I've had this pad long enough. Just the way that I've stored it, I think it's either bended the pad in a way where it has that line. When you're using a Saturn Pro, if you want any increased control, you have to push into the pad. You don't have to do this on the Smooth Criminal, and it's called the Smooth Criminal for a reason, because whenever you have any kind of glide on this pad, it is incredibly consistent and incredibly smooth. This is called a Smooth Criminal specifically because of the glide that you feel on this pad, and it is very, very, very good. So the Pelz is a hybrid control pad, and for those that have watched my other videos, I've mentioned that whenever it comes to pads, I tend to lean more towards the middle. I have several control pads that I really enjoy. I have several speed pads that I really enjoy, and at least the longer that I've used pads, I've expanded the pads that I've used and what I like. But for a long, long time, I've always really been in the center. And specifically for the Pelz, still leans to the control end of the spectrum. But this is a very, very, very good pad. And it's probably one of my new favorites, specifically for something like control. I've used this pad for Apex and the finals. I would say that I tried using this for Fortnite. I hated it, only because I use build mode, so having to move a lot on this pad, I just didn't like it. I wanted something that was faster. This is a control pad, or a hybrid control, so it's not something that I would use specifically for Fortnite, but for everything else. I've loved using this for Apex. I've loved using this on the finals. It's definitely slower because it's a control pad, but the consistency that you get from the glide, the accuracy and the control that you get when you use this pad is very, very, very good. This is my new favorite go-to when it comes to control. Getting into the Blitz. So personally, I've used this pad around about the same time as the Pelz. I know a lot of people have been hyping up the Blitz, and I think the issues that I've specifically had with this is only because I have a soft. So in using this pad, something that I've mentioned, I mean, kind of like I was talking about the Saturn Pro, because of the base of this pad, whenever I have any kind of glide, I can feel the cushion of this pad. and I don't necessarily feel it as much like I would in a Saturn Pro. For the Blitz, I definitely feel the cushion more whenever I'm moving and doing any kind of glide. And honestly, I really do think that I would enjoy this pad more if I had the mid. So for those that are thinking about getting the Blitz, the only thing that I would mention is, at least right now, the only thing that I could find was the soft version. If you're looking into getting this pad, I would recommend the mid. I feel more feedback in this pad than the other two. And again, I really do think it's just because of the base. If I had the mid version, I don't think I would have that. So this is still a really good pad. I just think the issues that I felt in terms of using this pad has really been because of the base. The surface is still very soft. It is incredibly smooth. Feels great. The stitching is really good. But again, just in terms of gameplay on this pad, I really do think that most of my issues have just been from the soft base. When it comes to those pads, like I mentioned before, if you've used a Saturn Pro, or if you're thinking about getting a Saturn Pro, I would highly recommend also trying out the Smooth Criminal because it feels incredible. The Smooth Criminal, especially whenever I play games like Fortnite or Apex, just feels so good. I don't have to have a lot of pressure or like extra cushion as I'm pushing into the mouse like I do as a Saturn Pro to get that extra control, but because the glide and the stopping power of the Smooth Criminal is smooth. It's called the Smooth Criminal for a reason, so don't make fun of me. Number 2, the Pelz. As I mentioned, the Pelz is more of a controlled hybrid pad, but whenever I say controlled, even as a slower pad, the feeling that you get from the Pelz is so smooth. It's so controlled within the glide. It feels so good. And number 3, when we were talking about the Blitz, I've still been having a fun time with it, but I feel like the fun that I'm having with it would be increased that much more if I had a mid. With that being said, it is a mousepad roundup, so I didn't want to have a 25-minute video in terms of the pads. But if there's anything that you feel like I missed, anything that you want me to specifically talk about or answer for any of the 3 pads, feel free to throw them in the comment section below. With that being said, I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.